Okay, now here is a list of some of the top headlines of all time, and all that you have to do, this is like a secret recipe. All you've got to do is take these, I think there's 6 of them, and reword them for your specific niche. You do that, and you can kind of use these as templates, right? And you'll do well with these because they are proven over time. Some of these you'll recognize. You've seen them a lot. That's because they have proven over time that they work. The most popular one of all time is this one. They laughed when I sat down at the piano, but when I started to play, and then you don't finish it. Like I said, most popular one ever. It's been used in direct marketing, and it has sold millions of dollars worth of product over the years. But what makes it work is the anticipation. You have to get the answer to this story. You want to know what happened. Was it because you played so well? Was it because of the particular song that you played? People want to find out what happened after you started playing. Another example of anticipation. They grinned when the waiter spoke to me in French, but their laughter changed to amazement at my reply. Now, this is again, use this as a template and customize it to your niche, whatever that happens to be. They grinned when the rider handed me the reins to the horse, but their laughter changed to amazement as I rode off. You have to, if you're doing horse training, whatever, just change this up for your niche. This is something, again, anticipation. They want to know what the reply was. What was the conclusion? And here again, next example is being positive, not being negative. Just ask them, do you make these mistakes in English? Obviously, if your niche is not related to that, then that's not what you do. You use it as a template. Do you make these, and really what's better is to put a number here. Do you make these 7 golf mistakes, or do you make these 7 mistakes in golf? Do you make these 7 mistakes in, well drilling? I don't care what it is. You just put whatever your niche is. They read that, and if you read that, you have to ask yourself the question, what mistakes are they talking about? Am I losing money because I'm making these mistakes? Have I done something, have I embarrassed myself when I didn't even know it because I'm making these mistakes? Whatever your particular niche is. Can you spot these 10 decorating sins? Now, that's a pretty popular one, too, because they're doing the same thing. It provokes thoughts of embarrassment. Have I done something? I spent a lot of money on decorating my office, and I spent a whole lot of time. Did I forget something? Did I do a no-no? And people are coming in, and they're seeing it, and I didn't even realize it? For those very reasons, this is a headline that's incredibly popular and useful. How a fool stunt made me a star salesman. Here we've got that word how, which that provokes some curiosity right there. But what I like about this headline is it sounds more like it's the start of a story. People love stories. And when you use a headline like this, you've kind of pushed aside the sales ad kind of mentality, and they get the impression that they're fixing to read a story, not an advertisement, not something that you're going to push on. So that in and of itself, as a headline, that achieves some of the main goals that we're trying to get, which is to cause them to read the body copy. People love to read stories. If you change this up for your niche, let's do the guitar thing again. How breaking my strings at a gig got me a record deal. If I'm a guitarist and I come across that ad, everybody, they want to be famous and play guitar. So if I'm reading an article or whatever, I'm reading a page and I see that ad, how breaking my strings at a gig got me a record deal, I'm thinking, here is a story that I want to know about. So I'm going to read it. The next one, who else wants a screen star figure, or who else wants whatever. The point here with this is the words who else wants. All by itself, that implies social proof, because what you have basically subconsciously transferred to the reader is that other people have already done this. So who's the next person that wants to do it? It means somebody else achieved the goal. Now it's your turn. Okay, now let's look at another tactic that we can use in our headline, and that is the power of exclusivity. Your prospect can buy a $2,000 guitar, or they can buy a $200 guitar that looks a lot like it and plays pretty good, even sounds pretty decent. What you have to do is, if there is some type of exclusivity that they will gain by buying the product that you're promoting, you need to relate that to them. Another example is, they could go out and they could buy a Jeep, or they could buy a Hummer. Both of them are great for off-road. You can get a Jeep even that is pretty luxurious, and they're both a lot of fun. They're a lot of fun to drive. But one is offering some exclusivity. This is kind of a good lesson, really, in human nature. The Jeep gets better gas mileage. The Jeep even really has a reputation, for being an off-road vehicle. But the Hummer brings something with it that the Jeep just can't touch. The Hummer is a lot more expensive. Aside from towing, though, there's not really much that a Hummer could do that a Jeep couldn't do. The Hummer gets terrible gas mileage. I'm talking like 10 miles to the gallon. Even less, actually, if you're going in town. But that exclusivity that the Hummer offers, that in and of itself, because of the price tag, right, makes a distinction there. And that in and of itself is enough reason for people to go with the Hummer than with the Jeep. In fact, I'm going to tell on myself here a little bit. I'm actually in the market to make a purchase here pretty soon. I've been kind of going over this with my wife about what we're going to get. And the reason that I even brought this up is because that, we've been talking about that recently. I can get the same options with the Jeep that I can with the Hummer. I can get the navigation. I can get 4 doors. I can get just about everything, except the Hummer does offer a 3rd row back seat, which is pretty slick. I can carry 7 people with that. And I will be honest here. Because of this exclusivity, even though this is going to cost me $65,000, and I could get the Jeep, I could get a really nice tricked out Jeep for about like $35,000. I'm just being honest. I'm minded to go with the Hummer, even though it's going to cost me a lot more, and it's not really going to give me much as far as features. It's not going to give me a whole lot extra, but just because of that exclusivity. So if you can monetize off of that, then by all means do. If there's a distinction that you can show, I would rather pay $2,000, and I'm giving you what you're going to see right now, and what I've been doing really with the whole Jeep and Hummer thing is relating to you from the standpoint of your prospect. Okay, I personally, I'm a guitar player. I would rather spend $2,000 and get a Gibson Les Paul, a real Gibson Les Paul, than spend $200 on a imitation Les Paul, even though they look the same and they might. Well, they're not going to sound the same because, a real Gibson Les Paul has that sound, right? Same thing with a guitar amp. I might be inclined. Here's another. This is a great example. Here's another passion about guitar players is, do they want a real tube amp, which has the old tubes that glow and stuff inside, or do they want that solid state sound? Tube lovers are going to say solid state sounds terrible, and solid state's going to say, that they like the tone better, they like the cleanness and of that as opposed to a tube amp, plus it's less expensive. So that's another passion right there, and it's an exclusivity as well. that tube amps are a lot more expensive. So you can take a twist on that and, explain to them the benefits that they're going to get by being in that exclusive tube amp realm, right? They're in that tube amp club. You point that out to them, and you're going to make more sales.